Welcome to Baker Makes It. This is another episode of our 1971 Holiday Rambler renovation. And in this video, we're going to be installing this brand new hot water heater. Now, we're not going to be doing any of the propane hookups, the water hookups. We're not at that point yet. But I've got a big gaping hole in the side of this thing. Water's been getting in, and I just haven't been able to deal with it. The tricky part about this install is that a traditional hot water heater opening that you'd see on a modern camper is a little smaller than what I've got on this one. So I debated making patch panels to make the opening smaller like I've done on some other things. But I did some looking around and I found this Furrion or Furrion, I'm not sure how you say it, heater. It has an optional larger faceplate for it. And so this is their largest one. I think it's like 18 by 18 or something. This would be the standard one. It's just a little smaller. And the other reason I chose this one, in addition to the size, is that it has a all metal cover, and I knew I could paint that. Others might have that too, but it was the only one I could find that had the metal and the size and everything I wanted. So this will cover the entire opening just barely. But what it means is we're gonna have to frame in the opening for the smaller size unit. And so we're going to do that with some 2x material. We're going to build a frame to enclose that. And then we're going to take a sheet of aluminum. This is a sheet that was actually blocking that hole for a very long time. We're going to put that back over it. We're going to attach that to the wood frame we just made, cut out that opening. We're going to seam seal the edges of that, and then we're going to install this thing. So there's a lot of steps, but all of that will be hidden. In a perfect world, I would have done this before paint, and it would all have a nice coat of paint and everything, but it's all behind this black cover. So in a previous video when I did our emblems, I brought these into the paint booth with me and I sprayed them with a black satin finish automotive paint. This is the same paint that's on the frame and the wheel wells. Really durable paint, and so this has been curing for a few weeks now, and we're ready to mess with it. So without further ado, I'm going to take some measurements and start cutting some wood to frame this opening in. All right, it is stupid hot in here today. It's 95 outside, so I'm just gonna get this knocked out quick. We're just gonna drill through the outside of the aluminum, run some deck screws in, and then we'll test fit our hot water heater in here. All right, those are all in. That's a weird, I don't know, something's weird with the angle, the aluminum in there, but it'll work. I didn't have screws short enough for these size, so I lopped them off with the grinder real quick. We're gonna go ahead and just put the unit in here, make sure it fits before we go covering all this up with aluminum. So I'm gonna go grab it real quick, make sure this opening's the right size, and then we can start buttoning this up. Okay, so where we're at is this panel's on. I went inside, I drilled 4 small holes in each corner, and then I drilled 2 big holes to start the jigsaw in. So now I'm gonna take the jigsaw and cut out this opening, and then we'll get this butyl tape trimmed up and get some seam sealer on there. All right, it's not the prettiest thing in the world, but I think that'll work. We're gonna fit this thing again in here and probably just prop up the back, make sure it's sitting flat, and then I wanna hold the cover on this, make sure it's gonna cover all those seams. If it is, then we'll go ahead and get this sealed up. All right, so one thing I just noticed is that the thickness of these screw heads is going to interfere with the back of that cover. So I'm going to take these out and we're going to swap these to rivets. I'm not going to film it. My phone's having a little bit of a hard time being out in the sun today, but we're just going to take them all out, rivet them, and then we'll give it another test. All right, we did it. That thing's on. Now the one thing I haven't dealt with, this little bit of blue on here, I tried to color this in with a Sharpie. I just got lazy and it didn't work. So this is plastic as opposed to the metal that the rest of this is. So I haven't decided. I might try to scuff this up again and try to paint it with like a black dye or a paint or something, but I just didn't want it to be white. So we'll sort that out. But this thing's in. We still have to caulk around the edges here, but it's sealed up really pretty well, and you can't tell that any of the patching that we just did is there. So that was the goal, is to get something big enough to cover all that, and it was very close, but we are good to go. So I'm super excited about that. It is very large, but that's part of it. It's just a big hole, so we had to cover it up. That's a wrap on the hot water heater project. In the next video, I'm really excited. We're going to get some lights on this thing. I think that's going to really start looking finished. I've been holding back on this, but I am just really excited to do this. So if you're not already, make sure you subscribe to my channel, Baker Makes It, so you can follow along with the rest of this project.